AITA for being erased from my own family business by my brother? I thought losing my grandfather was the worst part, until my brother decided to steal the only thing he left me. He rewrote the company documents, forged my signature, and announced that I stepped down voluntarily. The funniest part? My entire family acted shocked like they weren't all in on it. I'm 28. My brother is 33. When our grandfather passed, he left behind a small but respected family business. It wasn't some giant corporation, but it was solid, profitable, and respected in its niche. He built it from absolutely nothing. That business was his life, and everyone in the family knew how much it meant to him. In his will, he gave it to both of us. Half to me, half to my brother. No tricks, no hidden clauses, no only if situations. Straight down the line, 50-50. Signed, notarized, official, final. I still have the paperwork saved in several places because back then it meant everything to me. Before he died, he even sat us down and said, "This only works if you keep it balanced. One brain, two hands, no egos." At the time, my brother agreed. He nodded, put on the serious face, squeezed my shoulder dramatically like some movie scene, and said, "We'll do him proud." For the first couple of years, it actually did work. Or at least, I thought it did. We had an arrangement. He lived closer to the business, so he handled the daily, physical side. I handled the creative and the online side. Marketing, outreach, digital updates, growth plans, design, all of it. That was my field. He didn't know how to do any of it and didn't want to learn, so it worked out. Or so I believe. 3 months ago, I tried logging into the shared system to upload some new materials. It didn't accept my password. That was unusual. I tried again. Same thing. Then I tried resetting it. The email for the reset wasn't even mine anymore. That was my first punch in the stomach. I called my brother, expecting him to be confused. Instead, he sounded calm, almost bored. His exact words, "Oh yeah, I changed the system. We don't really need you involved anymore." At first, I actually laughed. I thought he was being sarcastic. I said something like, "Very funny. Now fix it." He didn't laugh back. He said, "I'm serious. It's just cleaner this way." I asked what the hell he meant by cleaner. That's when he dropped the bomb on me like it was casual information about the weather. He told me he restructured the ownership, rewrote paperwork, and updated the operational model. And in that update, my name wasn't there anymore. Instead, his girlfriend's name was. Not a fiancé, not a wife, his girlfriend. Someone he's been dating for a little over a year. Someone who barely even smiled at family gatherings. Someone who had never invested a dime, a second, or a thought into that business. I didn't even process it at first. I just sat there staring at nothing, holding the phone in my hand, waiting for the joke, waiting for the laugh, waiting for the "I'm messing with you." It never came. I finally said, "You removed me?" He replied, "You were busy with your own life." I needed someone who was actually committed. That sentence made something snap. I started shaking. My voice went cold, not even sad, just sharp. "You couldn't do that without my signature." There was a pause, and then he said it, the line that burned itself into my head. "You would have just said no. This was easier." Easier. Like stealing was just some shortcut in a video game. I started yelling. Not dramatic Hollywood yelling. Real, raw, ugly rage. I called him a thief. I called him a liar. I called him a parasite living off the work and legacy of a man who trusted him. I told him he was a snake, that he always had been, and that beneath the fake responsible brother act, he was just a greedy, insecure man terrified of sharing power. He laughed and said, "See, this is why you don't belong in business. You're too emotional." That made me explode even harder. I screamed that he was scared of me. That's why he erased me. That he couldn't stand the idea of me having equal power. That he didn't want a partner. He wanted a puppet he could replace the second he got bored. That's when he said something that made me see red. "Grandpa gave you half because he felt sorry for you." I don't even remember half of what I said after that. I just know it was savage, and it was the truth. I tore into him about how he always rode on other people's backs. How he copied everything I did growing up. How he stole ideas, money, credit, and now an entire business. I told him that without me, without Grandpa, without someone else carrying him, he was nothing. Then the family got involved, and somehow, I became the villain. People started messaging me calling me unstable, aggressive, bitter, jealous. They said, "Maybe he had to do it because you weren't serious. You should have paid more attention. You sound ungrateful. Why are you trying to destroy him? Just let it go and move on. Move on from something that was legally mine." One person even told me, "He stepped up, you stepped out." I lost it on them too. I told them they were weak, spineless, that they'd be singing a different tune if he robbed them instead. I said they were licking his boots because they wanted favors, money, access. I called them fake loyal, fake moral, fake family. Some of them tried to calm me down. That only made me worse, because no one cared about right or wrong. They only cared about peace, quiet, comfort, image, not justice, not the truth. He blocked me. His girlfriend posted cryptic things about new beginnings and cutting negative people out. Family dinners suddenly stopped including my name. And yet, he still hasn't shown me any document with my signature on it, because it it doesn't exist. I haven't signed anything, and I'm not done. Update 1. I finally got my hands on a copy of what he filed, and I swear I don't even remember breathing while I was opening the file. My hands were numb. My heart was racing so hard I could hear it in my ears. There it was, clean, typed, official looking. My name sitting there like a ghost next to a digital signature that was supposed to be mine. But it wasn't. The curves were wrong. The pressure was off. The slant didn't match the way I write at all. Anyone who has ever seen my handwriting more than twice would know it wasn't me. It looked like someone copied it from memory or tried to trace it from an old document. And under that fake signature, the words, voluntarily step down as active co-owner. Voluntarily. That single word made something inside me fracture. Not crack, fracture. Because it wasn't just a lie. It was a rewrite of my reality. It tried to turn me into some spineless quitter who just handed over my half like it meant nothing. I sat there staring at the screen, whispering, you don't get to decide that for me. You don't get to erase me. Over and over like a broken record. Then I saw the witness name. My aunt. My own blood. The woman who had hugged me at our last family gathering and told me she was so proud of how I was handling the business. The same woman who sat across from me smiling, asking about my plans, pretending she supported me. She signed under his fake paperwork as a witness. I didn't even plan the call. My fingers just moved on their own. She picked up on the second ring, cheerful at first. Oh, hi, sweetheart. Her voice changed the second I said her name in that voice. That voice. The one people use when they're done pretending. You signed it, I said. I didn't even ask. I said it like a verdict. There was a pause. Too long. Then this weak, pathetic excuse came out of her mouth. I thought you knew. He told me you were stepping away. I was just there. He said it was a formality. A formality? My voice literally shook. You watched him sign my name. You watched him forge a signature, and you thought, what? That was totally normal? That I just decided to disappear from something that was legally mine. She tried to scramble, tried to soften it. I didn't think it would hurt you this much. I didn't want to be in the middle. That's funny. I snapped. Because you put yourself right in the middle the second you lifted that pen. Her breath started getting uneven. I could hear it. I could hear the guilt creeping up her throat. He convinced me. He said you were busy, that you didn't care about it the same way. That's a lie and you know it. I raised my voice, pacing my room now. You've watched me pour my life into this. You watched me work nights, weekends, holidays. You watched me miss things for this business. Don't sit there and pretend you thought I didn't care. You chose his side because it felt easier, because he's louder, because he's closer, because you wanted to stay in his good graces. That's when she started crying. Actual sobbing. I didn't mean it like that. I just wanted everyone to be okay. No, I cut in cold. You wanted yourself to be comfortable, and you sold me out for it. She whispered that I was being cruel, that I was too intense, that I needed to stop attacking her, and that flipped the last remaining switch inside me. Cruel? You want to know what's cruel? Watching someone get erased in real time and calling it peace. Cruel is signing your name on a lie and then crying when someone calls you out on it. Cruel is being complicit and then pretending you're the victim. Silence. Then the line went dead. She hung up on me. My phone immediately buzzed with messages. From cousins, from relatives, from people who never had anything to say to me before, suddenly finding their voices. Why are you attacking her? She was just trying to help. You're going too far. You should be grateful he kept it in the family. Stop causing drama. One of them actually typed, you're embarrassing yourself. That one sent me over the edge. I snapped back faster than I could even process the words in my own head. Embarrassing is siding with fraud because you're scared to stand alone. Embarrassing is watching someone get robbed and calling them dramatic for reacting. If any of you had a spine, you'd be as angry as I am instead of hiding behind your screens like cowards. Some of them left me on read. Some of them doubled down. One called me unstable. Another said I was overreacting over paperwork. They minimized it like it was a printer error instead of a literal, documented attempt to remove me from half of what belonged to me. Then he messaged, just one line, stop harassing people. Be an adult. The audacity of it made me laugh. Not because it was funny, but because it was so unreal I didn't know what else to do. I typed back, stop forging people. Be a human. Before I could even lock my phone, the message showed, blocked. Just like that. My own brother, who grew up under the same roof, who shared the same childhood memories, who once swore we'd always have each other's backs, erased me with one tap. As easily as he erased my name from that document, I sat on the floor afterward, back against the wall, staring at the ceiling. My mind felt like it was full of broken glass. Anger, betrayal, humiliation, disbelief, all of it tangled together. Every time I thought I had reached the peak of the tension, another realization hit. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was calculated, planned, executed with witnesses and lies. And the worst part? He didn't even feel guilty enough to hide it anymore. Update 2. I didn't expect the rumor mill to spin this fast, but apparently my name is the only thing being passed around like a public announcement. It started with a message that popped up out of nowhere while I was trying to distract myself by doing literally anything that wasn't staring at legal documents or sleeping. It was my cousin. No greeting. No, are you okay? Just straight to it. I heard you tried to steal the business from him, and it backfired. I didn't even blink at first. I just stared at my screen like it had personally insulted me. I read it over and over again, trying to figure out how someone could twist reality into that version so easily. 3 weeks ago, I was a legal owner. Now, in their heads, I'm some failed villain who tried to pull a takeover and got smacked down for it. I typed out a response, deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. My hands were shaking so bad I had to put the phone down for a minute. Then I didn't text her back. I called her. She answered on the third ring, and before she could even finish saying my name, I started talking. Not screaming random things, not crying. I was clear. I was sharp. I was listing facts like a machine that had finally had enough of pretending to be human. I want to know exactly who told you that, because I didn't steal anything. I didn't even touch anything. My name was removed from paperwork I never signed, and you're sitting there acting like I'm the one who did something wrong. She immediately went defensive. Her tone changed. Suddenly, she wasn't concerned. She was irritated. Well, that's just what people are saying. And you've always been intense, so what? I cut in, my voice rising. So that makes me a thief? So that makes me someone who tried to take something that was legally mine? You're really comfortable sitting there, repeating garbage like it's a fact, aren't you? She told me I was being a lot. That phrase, you're being a lot, as if the situation was an inconvenience to her, as if I was making her uncomfortable for daring to be angry about being erased. You know what's a lot? I snapped back. Losing half of something that belongs to you and being blamed for it in the same breath. That's a lot. She started trying to calm me down in that fake soft voice people use when they've already picked a side. You don't have to come at me like that. You don't have to repeat lies either. But here we are. There was silence on her end for a second before she said the thing that cut the deepest. You've always been jealous of him, ever since we were kids. You just couldn't stand that he was more successful. That hit me so hard I felt it physically, like a hand shoved into my chest and twisted. Jealous? Of someone who forged my name? Of someone who erased me? Of someone who replaced me? You think this is jealousy? I asked, my voice shaking in pure disbelief. You think being robbed and gaslit is jealousy? No. What this is betrayal. And you're proving you'd rather believe a lie if it comes packaged in success. She tried to defend herself, stammering something about not choosing sides. And that's when I lost all remaining patience. You chose a side the second you typed that message. Don't pretend you're neutral now. You just wanted to be close to whoever looks powerful enough to benefit you. That's always been you. Her breathing got shaky. I could hear it through the phone. That's not fair. Neither is what you're doing. But unfair doesn't seem to bother you much. She started crying. Not dramatic sobs, but quiet, breaking little sounds. And for one tiny split second, I almost felt bad. Then I remembered the way she accused me without question. So I didn't soften. I didn't apologize. I didn't backtrack. You're crying because I said the truth out loud, not because I lied. She hung up on me. 5 minutes later, I got another message from a different family member. Then another. Not to ask what happened, not to check if I was okay, but to tell me to calm down, to stop lashing out, to handle things like an adult. Apparently, me defending myself is now considered aggressive, but my brother forging my identity is considered initiative. Funny how that works. One of them even messaged, "You're acting unhinged." Maybe this is why he cut you out. That one did make me snap. I replied immediately, no. He cut me out because I would have said no. And you're defending him because you're scared of standing up to someone who smiles while stabbing people in the back. I didn't even care if they screenshot it, if they sent it to him, if they passed it around like entertainment. Let them. If being angry means I'm difficult, then fine. If telling the truth makes me unstable, then fine. If refusing to be quiet makes me the problem, then I'll be the loudest problem they've ever had. Because the more they talk, the more I see exactly who they are. And I'm not afraid of any of them anymore. Update 3. I wasn't planning to check his social media again. I told myself I was done giving him that much room in my head. But, like an idiot, my thumb opened the app without me even thinking. And there it was. A long, carefully written post. Black and white photo. Serious face. The whole, I am so deep and wise vibe. He wrote about growth and discipline and cutting dead weight. He talked about loyalty and protecting what you build from toxic people who only want to drag you down. He didn't say my name, but he didn't have to. Everyone knew. And that part, dead weight, hit like a punch to the throat. Dead weight. That's what he decided I was now. After everything. After the hours. After the planning. After the work I did that he happily took credit for. After the meetings I sat through. After the sleep I lost making sure things didn't fall apart. Dead weight. People were in the comments praising him like a hero who had survived a battle. So proud of you for standing up for yourself. Sometimes you have to cut off even family. Real growth looks like this. You outgrew the haters. And then there were the ones aimed directly at me without ever saying my name. Some people just attach themselves to successful people and call it teamwork. Leeches always cry when they get removed. Imagine thinking you own something just because you were there early. I read every single one. Every single one. My chest was tight. My hands were shaking. I could feel my heart in my throat. It wasn't even sadness at that point. It was rage, sharp and hot, and buzzing in my whole body. So I commented. One sentence. No emojis. No drama. You mean cutting the person who owns half and didn't agree to go anywhere? That was it. Within minutes, the comment was gone. Gone like it never existed. And then my phone buzzed. A message from him. Why would you do that? You're embarrassing yourself. I stared at the screen. Embarrassing myself? I typed back so fast my hands could barely keep up with my brain. No, I'm embarrassing you. There's a difference. You're only scared because the truth is louder than your little inspirational caption. He didn't respond immediately. Instead, more comments started popping up. Mutuals. People who used to smile on my face. People who ate at my table. People who used my work and my contacts and my time. Here they come to play victim again. Jealousy is loud. Some people can't accept when they're outgrown. Get a life. One of them actually wrote, "You're obsessed. Seek help." That one set me off. I replied directly, "Obsessed? You wouldn't survive 1 week doing what I did for years. You just like sitting on the sidelines clapping for whoever looks shiny at the moment." Someone else chimed in and wrote, "Maybe if you had real talent, you wouldn't be crying in comments." And I went straight for the throat. Maybe if you had real talent, you wouldn't be watching other people's lives like it's TV. More replies, more insults, more people tagging me, screenshots being taken, group chats blowing up. I was getting messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years, suddenly acting like they were part of the story. One person actually DM'd me. "Why can't you just let him have this? You're being bitter and ugly." I lost it. Ugly? You're calling me ugly because I won't sit quietly while someone steals from me and rewrites history? That says more about you than me. Then he called. For the first time in 2 months, his name came up on my screen again. I almost didn't answer, but I did. He didn't start off angry, and that was scarier than if he had. His voice was low, tight, careful. He said, "Why are you doing this?" I almost laughed at the way he said it, like I was just causing chaos for fun. Doing what? Telling the truth. He sighed like he was the tired, patient one. You could just walk away peacefully. You're making yourself look unhinged. Unhinged. That word again. That same word people keep handing out when someone refuses to swallow disrespect quietly. I actually laughed out loud this time. I couldn't help it. Peacefully? You erased me and you want me to walk away peacefully. He said, "You're blowing this out of proportion." That sent a wave of heat through me. Out of proportion? You erased my name, my work, my ownership, my place. That's not a proportion issue. That's you trying to disappear me. There was a pause. I could hear him breathing on the other end, like he was searching for the right manipulation to try next. "You're making yourself look crazy to everyone," he said. And that's when I snapped. I wasn't calm anymore. I wasn't careful anymore. I was loud. I was shaking. I was done. You want to talk about crazy? What kind of sane person pretends their own partner in building this never existed? What kind of sane man lets strangers call someone dead weight when that same person carried him more times than he'll ever admit? He raised his voice then. "Stop acting like you were the only one who did anything." I shot back instantly. "Stop acting like you weren't leaning on me from the start." He said, "You're replaceable." And without even hesitating, I said, "So are lies. They just last longer." Silence. Then he tried another angle. "You're just mad I moved on without you." That one hit a nerve. Not because it was true, but because it was such a twisted version of the situation. Moved on from what? You can't move on from someone you screwed over. That's just running and calling it growth. His voice changed. More sharp, more defensive. "You're not going to win this." And I said it without even thinking. "You thought erasing me would make me disappear. It won't. You didn't cut dead weight. You cut the wrong wire." Another long silence. Then he hung up. No goodbye, no threats, just gone. But the damage was done. Screenshots were everywhere now. Half the people thought I was unstable. The other half started quietly DMing me things like, "I had no idea, and that post didn't sit right with me either." Old friends were suddenly scared to talk to me. Others were suddenly scared of me. And honestly, good. Let them feel uncomfortable. Let them not know what's coming. Let them whisper and speculate and pretend they were always neutral. Because I'm not done. Update 4. At first it was small stuff. Quiet stuff. The kind of things most people wouldn't even notice unless they were directly involved. Messages that took longer to get answered. Calls that suddenly turned formal. People using careful language instead of their usual friendly tone. Then the questions started showing up. Not angry questions. Not accusatory ones. Careful ones. Neutral ones. "Can you verify something for me?" Quick question about a signature. "Can you confirm your involvement in this?" At first I thought it was coincidence. Just random confusion. Just regular business chaos. Then a bigger document got sent back and signed with a note. "Authorization incomplete." Another one came back the same way. Then another. Suddenly, something that had always moved fast started stalling. Timelines shifted. Expectations changed. One important deal, one he'd been bragging about for weeks, didn't just slow down. It died. No drama. No big announcement. It just disappeared. And then the word got back to me. They wanted my confirmation. My name. My approval. My signature. Not his. Because no matter how many times he told them the paperwork was updated or revised or finalized, something didn't sit right with them. And they were right. He didn't have what he needed. He tried to bully his way through it first. I know that for a fact because I got forwarded a message that was so ridiculous it almost made me laugh. You don't need them. I make the decisions now. He actually sent that to someone who has been around since the very beginning of everything. The response. Then provide the documentation to prove it. He couldn't. And that's when he came to me. Not over text. Not on a call. Not through some fake polite email. In person. No warning. No apology. Just him standing there like he was daring me to say something first. The air felt heavy. Thick. Angry. He looked different. Tense. Edgy. Like he hadn't slept in days but refused to admit it. I didn't say anything. I just looked at him. Let him stand in it. He broke first. You're going to destroy everything, he snapped. No, hi. No, we need to talk. Straight to blaming me. And that lit something up inside me. You already did, I replied. He shook his head, pacing like he was trying to contain whatever was ticking in his chest. You don't understand the damage you're causing. I actually smiled at that. It's funny you think it's me. That set him off. His voice got louder, sharp, desperate almost. If you just stayed in your place, none of this would be happening. And there it was. That sentence. Its natural place to you. I stepped closer, not aggressive, not touching him, just close enough that he had to look at me instead of around me. My place, I said quietly. You mean the place you pushed me out of? He clenched his jaw so hard I thought his teeth might crack. You don't deserve half anymore. That's when I leaned in and said it slow, clear, and low enough that he couldn't deny hearing it. You didn't deserve to start, but here you are. For a second, he looked like he might actually swing at me. His hands were shaking. Actual shaking. I noticed it immediately because it was the first time I had ever seen him that way. Uncontrolled, unsteady. Mine didn't move, didn't shake, didn't twitch. He noticed that too. You think you're so calm like you won already, he spat. I didn't even raise my voice. No, I'm calm because I'm done pretending you're more powerful than you are. That's when the insults just started flying from both sides like glass being thrown. He told me I was bitter, irrelevant, a leech, talentless, forgettable. He said the only reason I was around in the first place was because he let me be. So I gave him the truth he was terrified of. I said he was a liar, a thief in expensive clothes, a coward hiding behind paperwork, a mouth with no foundation, a man who needed other people's work to look important. He yelled that nobody respected me. I laughed and told him, respect isn't what you've been living on. You've been dining on silence and hoping the truth starves. He stepped back, like that actually hurt more than he expected. Then more people started showing up, drawn to the tension, the volume, the energy. Someone muttered, "You're causing a scene." I snapped my head toward them. No, I'm responding to one. Another voice called me dramatic. I turned and said, "You confuse honesty with drama because you're allergic to reality." Someone else tried to tell me to just let it go for the greater good. Greater good. That made me laugh out loud. There is no greater good here. There's just a criminal trying to keep his trophy and a crowd hoping he wins so they don't have to admit they supported a liar. The room went dead quiet. Even he didn't speak for a second. And in that silence, I saw something in his face I had never seen before. Fear. Real fear. Because for the first time, the story wasn't in his control anymore. The paperwork, the questions, the missing approvals, all of it was walking back to one single fact he couldn't run from. He needed me. And he hated that more than anything in the world. I looked at him one last time and said, "You asked me what I want." He didn't answer, but his eyes didn't leave me. My name, my stake, my truth. No yelling this time. No insults. Just cold, absolute certainty. He didn't respond. Update 5. I didn't expect the calls to start the way they did. No apologies at first. No ownership of what they had done. Just those horrible testing the temperature messages. The kind where people are trying to see if they can step back into your life without actually saying what they did. You've been on my mind. I heard things have been complicated. Maybe we should talk. The same people who had told me I was unstable. The same people who had called me delusional, bitter, dramatic, ungrateful, jealous. The same people who watched him erase me and stood right there smiling beside him like he was some kind of hero. Now they were whispering around the truth like cowards. One of them finally called me. No hello. No how are you? Just this fake soft voice. Maybe we judged too quickly. I didn't respond. I let the silence stretch so long she had to check if I was still on the line. Are you there? Oh, I'm here, I said. I'm just trying to remember when you stopped judging it all. She started talking fast, stumbling over her words. He's been very stressed. It's a complicated situation. You know how business can be. We didn't have all the information. I almost laughed at how rehearsed it all sounded. So I reminded her. I reminded her of every single word she had thrown at me when I was standing alone. I said, calmly, one by one, you called me a liar. You called me a parasite. You said I was trying to destroy him because I was jealous. You said I should be grateful he even kept my name on anything. You told others not to trust me. I repeated them slowly so she could hear every syllable. There was silence again. Heavy. Guilty. Then I said, don't rewrite yourself now. You loved that version of me when it made him look like the victim. Her voice broke. I didn't mean it like that. That's the problem. I snapped. You meant it exactly like that. Then she had the nerve to say, you don't have to be so cruel about it. Cruel. That word again. I felt something snap in my chest. You want to talk about cruel? I finally raised my voice. Cruel is watching someone get cut out of their own life and clapping while it happens. Cruel is calling me unstable when I was the only one telling the truth. Cruel is showing up now because the tide turned. She started crying, and I didn't lower my voice. I didn't soften. I told her, you don't get comfort just because you're uncomfortable. And I hung up. The calls kept coming. Different voices. Same script. One said, you were always the honest one. I cut them off mid-sentence. No, don't rebrand me now. You called me a problem until it became unsafe for you to keep saying it. Another tried to sound authoritative, like they were still in charge. You're taking this too personally. That one made me snap for real. Of course it's personal, you idiot. It was in my name, my work, my signature. You talked about my life like it was a rumor. They got offended. You don't have to insult me. I laughed. You didn't care about insulting me when the crowd was on your side. Now you just don't like being reminded of who you were in that moment. Word started getting around fast. He stopped showing up anywhere. No more self-important posts. No more speeches about loyalty and hard work and cutting dead weight. The silence from his side was loud. People noticed. Cracks turned into gaps. Gaps turned into questions. Questions turned into distance. Everywhere he had once walked like a king, he was now just missing. And when his name came up, people didn't sound impressed anymore. They sounded careful. I heard someone say, something isn't right with that situation. No one argued with them. I heard he had tried to spin a new story. That I was unstable. That I was obsessed. That I was refusing to move on. But now, instead of agreeing, people were asking him, if that's true, why does the paperwork look like that? Why is everything stalled without their approval? Why won't they sign anything? And he had no answers. Just excuses. Just deflection. Just anger. Someone told me they overheard him explode on the phone at someone. They're doing this on purpose. They're ruining me. They said his voice sounded cracked. Panicked. Unhinged. I smiled when I heard that. Because 6 months ago, that's the way he said I sounded. Family members who had completely erased me from events suddenly started sending invitations. You should come by. Everyone would love to see you. That almost made me sick. Love to see me now that the ground isn't solid under his feet. I told them, you didn't want me when I was standing alone. Don't want me now that the truth is loud. One of them got brave and snapped back. You could at least be mature about this. That's when I lost my temper again and sent something I don't even regret typing. Mature would have been checking facts before running your mouth. You can't preach maturity when you couldn't even manage basic decency. They didn't reply. None of them did. The silence this time wasn't because they were ignoring me. It was because they had nothing left to say. And somewhere in all of this chaos, all this noise and regret and fear and shame, he disappeared. Not physically gone, just socially invisible. No presence, no power, no voice. And for the first time since this started, I realized something. He never expected I'd still be standing. He really thought he erased me. Update 6. It turned into a kind of pressure, like a room filling up with air and no window open. Everything around me felt like it was waiting for something to pop. And then, out of nowhere, his name showed up on my phone. Not a call, not a paragraph, just 4 words. We need to talk. Privately. My whole body went cold. 8 months of pretending I didn't exist. 8 months of watching me get ripped apart by people he poisoned. 8 months of hiding, avoiding, redirecting questions, dodging responsibility. And now, suddenly, he needs something. I didn't reply. I stared at those words until the screen dimmed. Then I turned the phone face down like it had offended me just by lighting up. 3 days went by. No answer from me. No follow-up from him. I knew it was killing him. On the 4th day, I finally responded. 1 sentence. No politeness. No greeting. You should have thought of that before you signed me out of my own legacy. That was it. 10 minutes later, my phone started buzzing like he lost his mind. Call after call after call. I didn't pick up a single one. Someone else reached out to me later that day and said, he's not doing well. Good. They said he's barely sleeping. That he's snapping at everyone. That he keeps telling people it makes no sense. That it turned on him. Like he just tripped into this by accident. I actually said out loud, to an empty room, you don't get to be confused. Because this wasn't confusion. This was consequence. Then the indirect messages started. The mutual contact contacts. The people who used to ignore me suddenly trying to check on me while really checking on whether I'd fold. One said, maybe just hear him out. Another said, he seems really broken up about everything. Another had the nerve to say, he misses you. That last one set me off. I don't exist to be missed. I exist to be respected. I finally snapped back at one of them. Tell him I didn't disappear. He erased me. And now he just doesn't like the result. They didn't reply. Then came the coward apologies. Not from him, from everyone else. Little fractured sentences like, I wasn't myself back then. He manipulated the situation. We were afraid to go against him. You know how powerful he became. I laughed at those. Not humor. Disbelief. You were never afraid. I wrote back to one of them. You were comfortable where you stood. That's not fear. That's convenience. They tried to say I was being harsh again. I told them, you just aren't used to me speaking without shrinking. One night, the phone rang. Unknown number. I knew it was him. I let it ring and ring and ring. Then I answered it without saying a word. His voice sounded weak, strained, unfamiliar. You're not even going to say hello? No, I replied. You lost that version of me. He went quiet for a good 10 seconds, like he forgot how to speak to me when I wasn't beneath him. Then he tried to turn it around. You've dragged this long enough. I froze in place. Dragged it. He stole my name, erased my place, lied to everyone, forged consent, and now I was dragging it. I exploded. You committed it. I survived it. Do not get that twisted. His tone changed instantly. Defensive, sharp, angry. You are enjoying this. Admit it. You don't get to tell me how I feel. I snapped back. You lost that authority the second you signed my life away like it was paper. He raised his voice. I did what I had to do. That was all I needed to hear. What you had to do. I shouted back. You mean what was easiest for you? You didn't have to do anything. You chose to cut me out, and now you're panicking because the world finally sees you without the mask. His breathing went heavy on the line, like he wanted to yell more, but couldn't find a place to land it. You're destroying me, he muttered. I didn't lower my voice. Not even a little. No, I'm letting the truth breathe. You're just choking on it. He tried one last time to take control. So what do you want? I went ice cold. I want what was mine before you decided I was disposable. Then I hung up. No goodbye, no closure, just silence. I heard later that he threw his phone across the room, that he screamed, that he blamed me, that he blamed everyone, that he shouted my name like it was an insult. Good, let it echo, because for 8 months, my name had been whispered like a rumor. Now it was the loudest thing in the room again, and I'm not done yet. Update 7. I didn't think I would post again, but after everything that's happened over the last few weeks, it feels almost unreal not to put it somewhere. Not for closure, not for sympathy, not even for validation, just because this is the part no one ever expects to happen. The part where the person you tried to erase doesn't disappear, and the part where the people who tried to silence you suddenly can't stop talking. It started with a phone call at an hour he would always know I hated. Early, uninvited, persistent. I ignored the first 3 attempts. Let it ring out while I watched the screen light up and go dark, light up and go dark. Every time, that same name, like it still had the right to exist in my space. On the 4th call I answered, but I didn't speak. He did. And for the first time in all of this, I didn't hear arrogance. I didn't hear confidence. I didn't hear control. I heard panic underneath a thin layer of forced calm. You've made your point, he said. People are starting to ask questions. Serious questions. I actually laughed. And I don't mean a polite laugh. I mean the kind that comes from deep in your chest because the hypocrisy is so insane you can't help yourself. My point. I said, no, don't do that. Don't rewrite this in your favor. You made a mess, and I just stepped back and let everyone finally see it. There was a pause that felt so heavy I could almost hear him thinking through 100 excuses and realizing none of them worked anymore. You're enjoying this, he snapped, and suddenly the anger was back for just a second. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. That's the part that really wrecked him. No, I replied. I'm enjoying not being lied about to my face. He lost whatever composure he had left. Do you have any idea what you've done to my name? People whisper when I walk in. They stop talking when they see me. Deals are suddenly reconsidered. I built this from the ground up, and you're trying to take it away out of pure spite. That did it. All you built was a story about yourself. I shot back. And it's finally collapsing because you forgot one thing. I was there the entire time. I know exactly how much of it was real, and how much was you taking credit for everything around you. The next few days were chaos. People who hadn't said a word in months suddenly ran into me or reached out of concern. Old connections I didn't even realize had been poisoned against me started apologizing. It started quietly, then faster. Why did he say you betrayed everyone? He told us you walked away because you felt beneath the work. I didn't realize he cut you out like that. I wouldn't have taken his side if I'd known the full story. I didn't soften. I didn't reassure. I didn't comfort a single one of them. I just repeated what actually happened, calmly, clearly, over and over. And when a few of them tried to downplay it, tried to make their own roles seem smaller, that's when my voice finally went sharp. You didn't just misunderstand, I told one of them to their face. You looked at me while he lied and decided it was easier to believe him than ask me one single question. That's on you, not him. You chose comfort over truth. They went silent. No comeback, no defense. Then the real confrontation happened. Not over the phone, not through other people. In person, he looked like a different person. Smaller, tighter, like the version of himself he'd sold. Everyone had finally abandoned him. He didn't even fake a greeting this time. "You think you won," he said immediately, voice low, tense. "I built everything, and now they're lining up behind you like you're the victim." "I didn't ask anyone to do anything," I replied. "I just stopped covering up for you." "You're turning me into the villain," he hissed. "You turned yourself into that the second you decided I was disposable." His eyes flashed, and for a split second I saw the version of him that thought he still had power over me. The same face that used to speak down to me, that used to question my worth, that used to tell people I was lucky to even be there. He opened his mouth like he was about to say it all again, but I didn't let him. "You don't get to talk down to me ever again," I said, and this time my voice did rise. Clear, sharp, unapologetic. "Not after everything you took credit for. Not after the lies. Not after you tried to erase my role in my own work. You don't get to rewrite me as the problem just because you're finally being seen." People around us started to look. I didn't care. He did. "That's enough," he warned. "No," I cut in, stepping closer. "This is exactly enough. You're just not used to being on the side of it." For the first time, he had nothing. No insults. No fake authority. No control over the narrative. Nothing. He walked away. Not dramatically. Not with dignity. Just gone. Defeated. And that was the moment I realized something that shocked even me. I didn't feel high. I didn't feel vengeful. I didn't feel like celebrating. I felt clear. Like something heavy had finally moved out of my way. Since then, the messages haven't stopped. Some apologizing. Some trying to connect. Some pretending they always believed in me. Some still too embarrassed to say anything at all. And the funniest part? He's the one on the outside now. The end. Your brother didn't just steal your half of the business. He committed straight-up fraud, forged your signature like a toddler with a crayon, slapped his girlfriend of 5 minutes on the paperwork, and then had the nerve to call you emotional and deadweight. The family? A masterclass in cowardice. Auntie witnessed the forgery. Cousins spread rumors that you tried to steal it, and everyone preached keep the peace, while licking the boots of the guy holding the stolen goods. They only flipped when deals started collapsing and the truth got louder than their excuses. You didn't scream for no reason. You screamed because someone tried to erase you from your own life. And when you stopped playing nice, the whole fake kingdom fell apart without you even lifting a finger. Not even close. You're the only one who acted like a grown-up with a spine. He's a thief. They're enablers. And you're the final boss they never should have poked. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Got a story to share? Drop it in the comments and let us know which one was your favorite. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely want to check out AITA for telling my cousin her kids aren't my responsibility. Click here to watch it now.